Good morning, class. This is again PLARHG History Geography. Once again, my name is Jonathan. I am a teacher for this course, and like we started on Tuesday, we are starting the second half, the second portion of this course. Yes, we are starting geography. That is right, geography. History is now done in terms of my teaching. However, like I mentioned, like always, all my students are at different pace in terms of where they are in terms of their assignments. So if you're still working on your PLARHG history, that is okay. Continue to work on that. Once it's all done, get it to me. I'll mark it. Once everything is good to go, we'll arrange something so that you can write your PLARHG history tests. That will determine your final mark. But in terms of my teachings, in terms of my lessons, yes, we are starting geography. Geography. So we're starting lesson 4. We started that last Tuesday. Okay, so we're at week 5. And we're on class 2. Okay, so we're definitely at the halfway point of the term. Okay, remember this is a 9-week term, 9-week session, and we're at week 5, class 2. Okay, we're starting lesson 4, human geography. Okay, fairly short lesson. Again, still a lot of information, a lot of terminology and definitions. We're looking at geography. Okay, it will relate back to some of the materials we cover in PLARHG history. So it's great. We're just building on our knowledge and our understanding. Okay, so yes, PLARHG geography, lesson 4, human geography. Any questions at the moment before we begin? Any comments? Anything you want me to mention before we begin? Okay, class. Alrighty. Again, we're gonna take some time and go do a bit of review of what we covered on Tuesday. Yes, we did start a brand new section on lesson 4 on human geography. Okay, so let's take some time now. Let's go over some terminology, some definitions of what we talked about last class on Tuesday. Again, our learning goals for today. Okay, our learning goals. Again, we're gonna continue. We're gonna do a big review of what we talked about last class. But our learning goals for today is that you will be able to identify and provide details of the controversies and disputes since NAFTA. Okay, we talked lots about NAFTA. Again, we're gonna talk about its controversy and its disputes. Okay. Another learning goal for you today is that you'll know the meaning of and able to list human rights. You will be able to know the meaning and able to list some of the human rights. Again, this will tie back to our Charter of Rights and Freedom in a way. And lastly, your learning goal for today is that you will learn the three types of industries and be able to provide an example of each type. Okay. Again, we'll explain more about that as we move along with our lesson for today. Okay. Again, I want to thank all those who are listening at home, at the communities, at the Learning Center. Again, I really appreciate you guys taking this time this morning to listen to my lessons, listen to some geography lessons. If you're able to see my smartboard, that's even fantastic as well. Okay, so it all depends on which technology you may have as well. Okay, all right, let's begin. So human geography. Again, this is a very short lessons, lesson 4. Okay, if you're following your textbook, page 25 and page 26. 25, 26. Okay. All right, human geography. As you recall, human geography is the human, political, and cultural branch of geography that focuses on human adapting themselves to the land and other people. Okay, so we got So, okay, think about people and their culture and their communities and their country, their nations, their beliefs, their influence. Okay, people, human. Okay, just human. Okay, so I got a little stick figure, human, people. Okay, human. Okay, political, cultural branch of geography that focus on how humans adapt themselves to the land and other people. Okay, so you got the land, space, area, landscape, how people interact with other people. Okay, their relationships, their influence. Okay, why they live a certain way, why they are, what they have in terms of the land, the space they have. Okay, all this lays back to geography. Okay, this is why it's called human geography. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're trying to learn. This is what we're exploring at this moment. Okay, human geography. Okay, there's three main types or three subsections. Okay, there's three sections that we're going to explore into greater details. Okay, so human geography deals with, okay, as we would call economics, urbanism, and military. Okay, so these are the three um, topics or sections we're going to talk about. Okay, so human geography. Okay, we know what human geography means and what we're talking about in this section, in this lesson. Okay, but we're going to explore in greater detail by looking at economics. Okay, economics again is just how people deal with consumptions and produce and sales and goods and services. Economics is also the study of how individuals and society use limited resources to satisfy their needs or their unwanted needs. Okay, that's what make people happy. Okay, people want to be rich, have lots of money, have all these productions being built, that's economics. Okay, so next week, week 6, we'll talk about urbanism, and then we'll talk about military, and then we'll finish off lesson 4 in terms of human geography. Okay, but we're gonna really focus on economics. Okay, economics in terms of human geography. Okay, economics in terms of human geography. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, human geography. Okay, I'm going to talk about 3 main points or topics or subsections. Okay, economics, urbanism, and military. Okay, just keep that in mind. But right now, we're going to focus on economics, human geography, and economic geography. Again, this is just some of the materials that we covered last class, but again, we're just going to go over it. Okay, you'll see all this information again on your next assignment, which I will go over today. Okay, which I will go over today. So economic geography, economics. So economics geography is a study of a wide range, variety of economics conditions. Okay, yeah, and you'll see this term economics come up a lot. So I know economics, in terms of geographical area, can be influenced, as you can see, climate, geology, social, political factors. Okay, let's circle that. Climate, geology, and social political factors. These are factors and influence that impact economic geography. Okay, so in terms of climate, like we talked about, depending on where you live in the world, whether you're near the equator or if you're closer to the North or South Pole, for example, it may impact and influence natural resources. Okay, climate can influence your natural resources, such as agriculture, farming, what you can grow, what you can't grow, and forestry. You may be living in an area with lots of trees and woods, agriculture. Okay, so depending on where you live, you may have more agriculture, more forestry productions compared to other people. Okay, so for example, if you're living, like downtown Toronto with lots of cities and buildings, there's not a lot of, agriculture being built. or being produced. Okay, whereas if you're in the, for example, in terms of Canada, whereas if you're, western, not western, but maritime, not maritime, sorry, but central Canada, like Saskatchewan area, bit of Manitoba, where there's lots of open space. There's lots of agriculture being produced. Or if you're north here in northwestern Ontario, there's lots of forestry. I know there's lots of trees around here. So again, that's all forestry productions. Okay, that impacts climate. So for example, if it's hot and nice and warm, you can grow lots of crops, fruits, vegetables. Whereas it's cold, you cannot really grow as much. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, that impacts economic geography. Okay, geology, the landscape. Okay, landscape, earth physical landscape, that's what it means. And social political factors. Okay, social political factors, influenced by the government, your personal beliefs, etc. Okay, so economic geography deals with the acquisition of materials, like we talked about. Okay, materials, production, and sales of these products. Okay, consumptions. We want these products, we want these materials. Okay, we have lots of these products, so we have a lot of these materials, so that's why we want to sell them. Okay, so that we can gain back. Okay, that's all about economics. But we're gonna link that with geography as well. Okay, so as we talked about last class, for example, Canada and the United States have a highly developed economic or economy. Okay, we have a lot of harvest of raw materials and manufactured goods in industry. Okay, therefore we can produce all these goods and productions and sell to other countries who are lacking in terms of resources and goods. Okay, and there's a term that we talked about on Tuesday called trade surplus. Trade surplus. Again, important term that you will see again on your assignment. Trade surplus. Does anyone remember what trade surplus is? Trade surplus. What is trade surplus? Any thought? Anyone? Yeah, just take a moment, think about it. Trade surplus. What is trade surplus? Well, trade surplus is when a country has more goods to export to another country than goods to import. Okay, so when a country has more goods, more products, more materials to export, which means, I talked about giving away or trading or selling. Okay, we're exporting. Okay, we're giving away goods. We have all that more than goods to import. Okay, we have more goods to import, which means to get. Okay, so that's what trade surplus is. Okay, so import, export. Okay, import. Remember, we're getting something. We're importing materials. We're getting resources. We're getting productions. Okay, export. We're giving away. Okay, we're trading. We're selling. We're exporting goods and productions. Okay. All right, let's move along. Okay, again, NAFTA. As you remember, on Tuesday night from Fort Hope, told us NAFTA stands for North American Free Trade Agreement. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. NAFTA stands for North American Free Trade Agreement. Okay, again, we have seen this term many times, even with our history lessons. Okay, again, we're looking at it again, but in greater details in terms of geography. So, NAFTA. Okay, NAFTA is not a law, but it's an agreement. Okay, it's a trade agreement between Canada, United States, and Mexico. Okay, hence why it's called the North American Free Trade Agreement. Okay, we got North American countries coming together. Okay, It's an agreement. Okay, remember, it's not a law, just a little agreement, or like a little promise, a little agreement between these three countries. Okay, remember, in NAFTA, the goal was to eliminate as much tax or tax purposes on trading goods between these three countries. Okay, we want to eliminate or remove as much tax as possible when we're trading. Okay, that's the goal of NAFTA. Okay, it was established on January 1st, 1994. So pretty recently. Again, NAFTA is just an expansion of what Canada and the United States in the past have done in terms of, trades between each countries, between Canada and the United States. But by this time we're adding Mexico and we're expanding on our trades. Okay, so as we talked about with NAFTA, with the North American Free Trade Agreement, there's pros and cons. Okay, so there's the good side, the pros. Okay, and then you can look at the cons, which is the good side or the bad side. Positive, negative. Okay, you can think of that in terms of NAFTA. Okay, so when NAFTA came into place, when this agreement was agreed upon and signed, there's many, controversies, as we'll talk about more about today. Okay, there's good sides and there's bad sides in terms of NAFTA. Okay, as we talked about, the good side, the positive side of NAFTA was like we talked about, was to eliminate as much duties, tax when trading between goods. Okay, that's the goal, which sounds great. Okay, no one wants to pay extra money or extra tax on duties. Okay, that's why this sounds great. This is the purpose of NAFTA. Okay. So restrictions were removed from many categories. Okay, so for example, okay, when you talk about the positive side of NAFTA, okay, give some examples. Okay, give some examples of what can be traded without paying a tax. In this case, some examples are motor vehicles, automotive parts, like car parts, computers, technology. We can trade technologies back and forth. Textiles, cotton, wool, to make clothing, and agriculture, food, vegetables, crops, etc. Okay, so we can trade these products back and forth without paying any taxes. Okay, NAFTA, on the positive side, on the good side, also protects property rights. Okay, again, for example, copyrights, can't copy something. Trademarks. So, for example, if you have like an iPhone, okay, you can take that iPhone name and change it to something else. Okay, even though, like, for example, iPhone, I think, was created in the United States. When trading it or selling in Canada, it can't change his name, so it protects that rights. Or like slogan, like, McDonald's slogan or logo, you can't just take that and put it in Mexico and change it. Okay, it protects companies' copyrights and trademarks. Okay, and later on, there's also, workers and environmental protections. Okay, this is all the good side of NAFTA. Okay, the positive side, the good side. Move along to the next slide. Again, there's lots of details provided in the textbook about NAFTA. Okay, I'm not going to go over all of them. Okay, but make sure you please go read it. Okay, and there's lots of who signed it. It was between Prime Minister Brian Mulroney and United States President George H.W. Bush at the time. Again, this is some leading up to some controversies, where like I talked about, it's not a law in terms of NAFTA, it's just an agreement. So at times, countries such as Canada, the United States, want to, impose something on another country, but they can't, But again, this is not a law. This is just a trade agreement. Just a trade agreement. Okay. Good morning over there at Fort Hope. Again, thank you, Fort Hope, for tuning in. Always calling in to my lessons. Again, thank you to Fort Hope. Who do I have on the line this morning at Fort Hope?
Delilah.
Delilah, excellent. Is Knight there? Or is it just you, Delilah?
Yeah, he's here too.
Knight's there? Excellent. Good morning, Knight. Is there anyone else besides Delilah and Knight?
Just two of us.
Just the two of you? Perfect. Okay. Again, thank you, Delilah. Thank you, Knight, for listening over at Fort Hope. Again, huge shout out to everyone else who are listening in terms of in your community, in terms of listening at home or wherever you may be. Again, thank you again. Again, I know, Delilah. I know you're still working on PLARHG history, which is great. So please continue to work on PLARHG history. Again, if you have any questions with history, let me know. Knight, I know you're, like you mentioned last class, you're working on geography, which is fantastic. So again, reminder to all my students, please get your assignments in. Okay, whenever you get the chance, get those assignments into me so that I can mark it, give you feedback, and so that I can, gauge where you're at in terms of your progress. Okay. All right. Again, so now we're going to talk about the controversies. The disagreement. Okay, it's a controversy. So we got some disagreement. Okay, disagreements, some disputes, something that people may not necessarily agree upon. Okay, that's what controversy means. Okay, so NAFTA was controversial since day one. Okay, when NAFTA was signed, when NAFTA was established or created, there were some controversies since day one. Okay, like we talked about, there's many good things that people thought came out of NAFTA, for examples, but then again, there was some fear. Okay, like I said, the good side, we can trade goods by eliminating as much tax and duty as possible. But then again, there was always some fear when NAFTA came into place. Okay, always some fear. Okay, for example, Canada and United States have opposed NAFTA for fear that jobs will be moved out of the country due to lower wages costs in Mexico. Okay, as we talked about this before in PLARHG history, okay, citizens and people in Mexico, they were paid much less. Therefore, Canadian and United States companies, tend to move their corporations down there, because it's cheaper to pay Mexico the costs. Okay, it's cheaper in Mexico to produce these products and goods. So Canada and United States fear that jobs will be taken out of their countries and moved to Mexico where they can pay workers cheaper. Okay. Okay. Another controversy. Someone's trying to take control of my smartboard, but that's okay. I'm going to slide back down here. Okay, so not a controversy that came out of NAFTA. Okay. Yeah, and all this, talked about, the branch plant economics. What's happened to my smartboard here? Alright. No. Alright, let's fix this. Sorry about that. So we got the branch, no. Guess that won't let me work it. Alright, where were we? We're talking about the branch plant economics, okay? Sorry about that technology with my smartboard. So now we talked about another branch plant economics, where Canada and the United States fear that jobs will be taken out from their country and moved to Mexico so that they can pay wages less. Okay, another controversy in terms of NAFTA is opposition to NAFTA also comes from environmental, social justice, and other advocacy organizations that believe NAFTA has diminished non-economic impacts on health and environmental. Okay, there's environmental, social justice, advocacy organizations believe that NAFTA has diminished non-economic impacts on health and environment. Okay, jobs in Mexico, or the living standard in Mexico, has dropped, so poverty has risen. Okay, so people with less jobs can't afford homes or incomes in Mexico has gone up. Okay, wages has decreased by 20% in Mexico. Okay, these are some negative impacts that came out of NAFTA in terms of countries being impacted. Okay, there's also some experience of dramatic increase of illegal immigrants from Mexico to the United States. Okay, they're just starting to move to the United States, where there's more jobs opportunities in a way. Okay, these are just some examples of some controversies of NAFTA. Okay, but again, there's always the good side that we talked about. Okay, economic growth has gone up in terms of Canada and United States. Okay, another controversy is something known as Chapter 11, or bankruptcy. This is something that came out of NAFTA. Okay, this is also another controversial. Okay, something called Chapter 11. Chapter 11. So what makes Chapter 11 unique is that it allows corporations to sue federal government in the NAFTA region if they feel a regulation or government decision adversely affects their investment. Okay, so if a company, I believe an individual, can also sue the federal government if the federal government impacts their investment. This is unique. Okay, so Chapter 11 allows corporations to sue the federal government in the NAFTA region if they feel a regulation or the government decision affects their investment. Okay. So in other words, you're a company, you're an individual, you're selling, you're producing, you're trading, but if a government decision or regulation comes into place that impacts you on what you do in terms of, trading or selling or producing, you can sue the federal government for, having this regulation in place. So for example, there's a few examples that's outlined in your textbook. Again, this is on page 29 of your textbook. One example I'm going to talk about right now is the Medex example. Okay, so Medex is a Canadian corporation. They filed a $970 million lawsuit against the United States, claiming that there was a California ban on the substance called MTBE. Okay, it's a substance that was banned in California. So the substance, the MTBE, was found in many of the wells in the United States. Okay, so the waterways, which was harmful for corporation sales of methanol. Okay, so for example, this Canadian corporation company, Medex, okay, they were selling their products in terms of, in the United States. However, there was a California ban on this substance, MTBE, that was found in many water wells in the United States, which was harmful for the corporation sales of methanol. Okay, so that's an example of why Chapter 11, in terms, which is controversy in terms of NAFTA. Okay, you're selling something, for example, Methanex, but there's a ban created by the government in terms of the substance. Therefore, it impacts your sales or your productions. Okay. Again, there's other examples too in terms of Chapter 11, okay, in your textbook. But just make sure in terms of controversy of NAFTA, you know what Chapter 11 means. So this term's called Chapter 11, okay, which allows corporations to sue federal government if the government or regulation impacts their investment. Okay. All right. Again, more details about NAFTA in terms of Canada. Again, more background information. Make sure you read this as well. How it impacts Canada. NAFTA comes from fear over the possible effects of various causes and articles of the treaty. For example, if something is sold even once as a commodity, the government cannot stop its sales in the future. Okay, this applies to water in the Canadian Great Lakes and rivers and such. Okay, and then it talks about the overall impact of NAFTA. Again, like we talked about, NAFTA has been controversial since day one. Okay, when this trade agreement was signed, it was controversial since day one. So many politicians, the people from the NDP party, the New Democratic Party, okay, or the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party, they argue back and forth, about, what they would do or how they felt about, NAFTA in terms of, when they become a leader of power. Okay, so just a lot of controversy, So that's why, like I talked about in the past, going to vote on October 19th is, it's important because it impacts us in the future. So let's make sure that we know who we're voting for, which leader we want to come in. So it all impacts in terms of economics and in terms of creating jobs, politics, etc. So this is all related to NAFTA. Okay. And another positive impact that came out of NAFTA, language. Now we see, French, English, Spanish. Words on label and products in terms of sales in the United States, US, and Mexico. So, for example, if you go to a grocery store, you pick up a can of soup, and on the label, it's in English. It may also be in French, and sometimes in Spanish, for example. Or you pick up, something else, again, it may be stated, or how to operate manual, it'd be stated in French and English, sometimes in Spanish. Okay, this is other impacts of NAFTA that we are seeing. Okay. All right. Let's stop there. Let's switch gears. Let's stop talking about NAFTA and let's move on. Let's move on from NAFTA. Okay. Again, there's lots of information about NAFTA that we talked about. Tons. Okay, a lot of it's related back to our PLARHG history, but we just looked at NAFTA in terms of greater details. Okay, so again, we're gonna continue looking at human geography in terms of economics, but right now I'm gonna look at Human rights. Human rights. Related to trades. Related to trades. Human rights. Again, nothing new here in terms of human rights. Um, it relates back to our legal rights, our fundamental rights as a citizens, outline it in the Canada Act or the Constitution Act, which is entrenched on the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom, which was, like I said, it was entrenched into the Constitution. So human rights, human rights have been talked about, for many, many years. Talk about equality, just no more discriminations, gender equality, social equality, and such. But human rights, okay, there's lots. Again, this all relates back to and can be referred to in terms of economics and human geography. So human rights. The government of many countries of the world violates human rights of their citizens. Again, nothing new here. It has been suggested that Canada should try to discourage these abuses by tying trade to human rights. Okay, for example, imports from a country will be stopped. So if we're getting materials, so import from a country will be stopped if that country did not respect human rights. Okay, like I said, human rights has been violated for many, many years. Talks goes on for years. Again, this is nothing new here. Okay, so in terms of trade, people are thinking that, hey, if a country is not being fair to its citizens or violating human rights, we should not trade with them. We should not trade with them. But in terms of human rights, what does human rights actually means? Again, you'll see this again. Human rights means that people have the right to freedom, to earn a fair wage at work, the right to be able to move about in a country of their own, the right to freedom of speech and religion, the right to protection from danger in society. Again, many believe that Canadians should not trade with countries that violate human rights, and that they should just trade with countries that promotes and protects human rights policies. Okay, human rights. Again, really similar to what's outlined in the charter, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom. Okay. I don't know what's going on with that smartboard today. Charter. Okay. Human rights, a right to freedom to earn a fair wage, the right to move around your country, right to your freedom, belief, religion, the right to feel protected from danger in society, all except for human rights. Human rights. Okay. Then again, you'll see at the very bottom it says go to assignment 9. So let's do that right now. So class, if you have your workbook in front of you, you can turn to assignment 9. Okay, this relates to geography, the geography section. Okay, assignment 9. Okay, very, very straightforward assignment. Very straightforward assignment. Again, this is your first assignment in terms of PLARHG geography. Okay, so just a reminder to students out there, to all my students, some of it, like I mentioned, some of us may not need history and may only need geography, or some of us may need both sections, history and geography. Okay, or you may just need one section. Okay, so just talk to your DEC to make sure which section you need. Again, if you don't have the geography textbook or the workbook, again, talk to your DEC or talk to myself and we'll figure that out, sort that out for you. Okay, but I think most of us in terms of where we're at in our learning need both sections. You need your history and you need your geography. Okay, so assignment 9, question number 1. Name 3 main types of human geography. Okay, again, we have covered all this in all my lessons. Again, it's all in your textbook as well. So name 3. Okay, 3, not just 1, but 3 main types of human geography. Okay, so we're looking at human geography in terms of lesson 4, human geography. The 3 main types. Question number 2, what is economic geography? Okay, what is economic geography? Again, 2 marks. Again, the more details you provide, the better your answer you will be and the better mark you will receive. So economic geography. Okay, I already started off you, so economic geography is dot 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 dot. Again, your answer. What is economic geography? Again, a lot of terminology and a lot of definitions. Question number 3, what is trade surplus? What is a trade surplus? Again, talked about it on Tuesday, went over again today. A trade surplus is, dot 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 dot. Okay, remember, right? Full complete sentences. Full complete sentences. No jot notes. No, don't just jot down your answer. Okay, put it in a sentence. Okay, put in a full complete sentence. Capitals, punctuation, periods. Okay, all this relates. We'll come back. It's improving our English, improving our writing skills. Okay, it'll help you in terms of your other subjects too. Okay. Question number 4. What does NAFTA stand for? What does NAFTA stand for? I think I said it about 100 times now. Okay, so what does NAFTA stand for? When was it initiated? So when was it created? Yeah, I'm looking for the year or the dates, and what countries are part of this agreement. Okay, so a 3-part question in a way. So again, so NAFTA stands for. Okay, don't just write what does NAFTA stand for, but you can write in sentences. NAFTA stands for, or this stands for NAFTA. Okay, it was created in blank. Countries that are part of this agreement or part of NAFTA are blank. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Question number 5. Question number 5. Why did these countries want this agreement? What were the benefits supposed to be? Okay, so looking at the pros, the positive side, the good side. Okay, so for example, they wanted this agreement to dot 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 dots. Some of the benefits were to be dot 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 dots, etc. and etc. Okay. And lastly, question number 6 on assignment 9. There have been many controversies since NAFTA agreement took effect. Provide details about 3. Oh, again, 3. Okay, controversies. Okay, look at the controversy. This is okay. Look at the bad side, the negative side of NAFTA. Okay, there have been many controversies since NAFTA came into place. Provide details of 3 of these controversies. Okay, there's tons that we went over. Okay, but I need 3 controversies of NAFTA. Okay, 3. Again, all of it's in your textbook again if you don't remember. Okay. Okay, so a mark for each one. Controversies. Okay. So that is assignment. Oh wait, there's one more question. Sorry. Question 7. Very straightforward. What are human rights? Okay. So for example, human rights are, or human right means, dot 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 dot. Give some examples of human rights. Okay. Human rights means, this is human rights. Some example of human rights can be, are, is, dot 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 dot. Okay. Again, that's on page 31. Page on 31. Okay. That is assignment 9. That is assignment 9. Okay, assignment question. All straightforward. Okay, again, a lot of definitions and terminology. Okay, that we need to know and recognize. Okay, that is assignment 9. Are there any questions right now? Are any questions right now in terms of PLARHG geography lesson for human geography in terms of economics geography. Any questions right now, class? All right, good, good, excellent, excellent. All right, just perfect for in terms of time. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to this next section. Okay, again, we're still looking at human geography in terms of the economics geography section. Okay, so now we're getting to our last learning goal, which is you'll be able to learn the 3 types of industry. Okay, we're looking at industry sectors right now. Okay, we'll look at 3 of them, and you'll be able to provide at least an example of each one. Okay, industry, industry, the work field in a way, the work field, industry. There are three types or 3 sectors, 3 types. Okay, one is called the primary. Okay, the second section is called the secondary. Put a little 2 beside it. And the last one is called the tertiary industry. Okay, the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary industry. Okay, these are the 3 types. Okay, primary, secondary, and tertiary industry. Okay, say it with me, okay? There's 3 types, the primary, secondary, tertiary. Okay, just keep that in mind. Alright, so now let's go over what they are. So let's go with the first one, primary. What is a primary sector? What is a primary sector industry? What is primary? Okay, so primary industry sector involves harvesting of raw materials or natural resources. Okay, involves harvesting raw materials and natural resources. So examples of raw materials can be, steel, wood. So raw materials, lumber, food, grains and such. Those are raw materials. Those are raw materials. Okay, natural resources. Okay, deals with minerals, forests. Natural come from the land, also like water, soil, animals. Okay, that's examples of natural resource. Okay, so the primary industry deals with harvesting raw materials or natural resources. Okay, that's what primary is. This is jobs in these fields. Okay, so for example, businesses such as agriculture. You got farming, you got fishing, forestry, mining. Okay, if you're working these kind of jobs, in terms of agriculture, fishing, forestry, mining, you're categorized as in the primary sector and industry. You're in terms of the primary. Okay, 2, secondary. Secondary industry produce manufactured goods. Manufactured goods usually takes goods from the primary sectors and takes it and turn it into goods that can be used by consumers. Okay. Manufactured goods that can be used by consumers. Okay, so for example, jobs in these fields can be furniture manufacturers, ethanol plants, fishery, canned goods. Okay, so we have, for example, the primary. We have steel, lumber, wood, food, mine and water, soil, animals. Okay, so we have all this. But in terms of the secondary takes stuff from the primary and turns it into materials that we use. So primary, for example, uses lumber. Okay, so now we have this lumber. So what the secondary does is that it takes that lumber and it turns it into furniture, chair, tables. Okay, um, fishing. Okay, you go fishing, you catch this big fish. Okay, so now what? Okay, now you can chop it up, make it into canned tuna or such, and sell it. Okay, this is an example of the secondary. Okay, it takes stuff from the primary and produce it into consumption that can be used by consumers. Okay, tertiary. Tertiary are known as, okay, the third one is known as the service industry. This is the big one. Service industry. Okay, so for example, okay, again, it builds on the primary and builds on the secondary. Okay, so service such as we're dealing with transportation, banking, energy, communication, entertainment, and such. Okay, so if I scroll down this little image right here, and hopefully further explains it. Okay, so primary industries. Okay, they harvest raw materials and natural resources. So we got farming, fishing, mining, forestry, and such. Okay, all the basic stuff. Okay, that's what they do. That's what the primary industry does. The secondary industry, okay, not the factories, the manufacturers, the construction, um, okay, food. Okay, so for example, we have this lumber. Okay, we use this lumber to build homes. Mining for steel. Okay, we use steel to build frames for buildings. Okay, that's what the secondary builds on. Okay, food. We harvesting animals. Okay, you take this pig. Farming, and then we take this pig or this cow and turn it to like fast food. Hamburgers. Farming, agriculture. Now we have bread, buns. Okay, mainly factory jobs is what the secondary is. Okay, and lastly, the tertiary. Okay, takes items or goods from the primary and the secondary, and they turn to service. They turn to service. Okay, so for example, myself, Jonathan, I am in the tertiary industry because I provide a service called teaching because I'm a teacher. Okay, so another example of a tertiary industry, transportation, banking, teaching, nurse, police. Okay, someone needs to ship that McDonald's hamburger to someplace. There's banking. Okay, you need to keep track of how much sales we're getting. Teaching, nursing, taking care of the sick. Police, protecting society from harm and danger. Okay, tertiary. This is an example of tertiary. Okay, so if you think about it, it's almost like like a building step. Okay, you got primary, secondary, and a tertiary. Okay, does that make sense, class? Okay. Okay, so communication, a lot of us have cell phones now or smartphones. Okay, internet. Okay, Wi-Fi, television, radio. Okay, need to go mining, get some minerals. Then we need to build that smartphone or television. Then a tertiary takes that and sells it. Okay. Again, I'll go over this again next week. Okay, we'll do a bit of review. Okay, just a little start of the next section. Okay, so before I take off, okay, class, are there any questions right now? Anything that's unsure? Anything you want to ask? Again, I have been getting some emails, some Facebook, some calls. Again, continue to ask questions when needed. I'm here to help. Okay, I'm always here to help. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay. Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything that we covered today? I know we did a lot of review in terms of NAFTA and such, but we're gonna finish off, just pretty much finish off the economic portion. So next class we're going to look at, urban, and then we look at military, and I will finish off human geography. Okay.